Alright folks, here goes nothing. So, not a professional YouTuber, but we're going to crack this thing open. It's February 23rd. I apologize if the lighting's not very good, and if the sound's not very good, but I'm having to hide out in my basement because my family decided that tonight was a great night to make a lot of noise upstairs where I might normally have done this. So here it is. It's probably upside down for you. Flip the box around. This is the Hammerhead Karoo. It's February 23rd, 2018, about 8 o'clock at night. This arrived this afternoon. Went out to dinner with my wife. Avoided cracking it open. But let's see. You've seen some of these unboxings probably already, but I thought you might be interested, and I'll go through it. I'll say right off the top that I am a skeptic at this point. Tons of delays with this product. The software apparently is really not where it was supposed to be when it was initially released and sold to us all. But so this card here was in the box, in the cardboard box. It was outside the shipping box. I have cracked this open briefly to have a look at it, but it's just sort of an explanation of the fact that the product's not done. They never planned for it to be actually 100% done. They're always going to be adding to it and improving it. We'll see. So this is the device itself. I have taken this out of the box briefly. So at first blush, or when first taking this out of the box, the first thing you notice is that this thing is big. It's big and it's relatively heavy. I guess I don't have a lot of experience, so for comparison, here's my Garmin 510. It's a couple of years old now. This is actually the third one that I've ended up with, mostly because I participate in cyclocross in the fall, and various knocks and bumps and bangs, and this part of the Garmin, and I'm sure many people watching this have, or maybe anybody watching this, these have broken off on me 2 other times. So this is my third Garmin. Thankfully, a great local bike shop, they've warrantied it for me twice, but I'm guessing I'm probably on my last go around with that. So just for size comparison, and this still has the, I don't know how well this is shown up on the camera, but this still has the little protective film on it, the Karoo does. So there's a size comparison. I'll slide the box out of the way for a second. But you can see that that's a big difference. I'll put it on top here, and the white maybe will show kind of the difference in the size. I have a scale upstairs. Probably not going to add that to this video, but that's just a brief look at the size difference. So let's see, also in the box is an instruction manual or a quick start guide. Not a lot in here, although I haven't really looked at it. Product safety information. Not much in here really. Does come with a barfly mount, which is awesome. These are great mounts. If you've had any trouble with Garmin mounts in the past, I would highly recommend giving a barfly a try. I'm not sure if these are subject to their warranty, but they have a lifetime warranty. If you break them, they'll replace them. So it's the barfly. I'm guessing that's for a larger sized set of bars, and there's a rubber shim in here. Really hoping I'm going to be able to mount a GoPro on the bottom of that, but we're going to find out. 2 Allen keys in here. I don't know if they're different sizes. USB cord. I think it's micro USB, so I'm not even going to take that out of the package because I actually have 45 days to return this. So I'm not going to take that out because I have other USB charging cables. In here is the tether, which I probably actually will use because as evidenced by the Garmin. I've had them fly off the mounts before, and having the tether at least keeps it attached to the bike if you loop the tether around the handlebars before snapping it into the mount. There's the SIM card tray. I'm not sure if I'm going to put a SIM card in it. AT&T right now is charging an arm and a leg for secondary SIMs. I guess that's the SIM removal tool. And I think this is just a wipe. Yeah, just a screen wipey. Got a ton of them. I wear glasses, so don't really need either of those right now. Alright, we'll worry about getting that back in later. So I have powered this up oh so briefly, but not gone past the initial setup. Mostly I was just making sure it would turn on. So we'll turn it on, see how long this takes to actually boot up. Maybe faster now that I've turned it on. It seemed like it took a good 30 seconds to sort of power up. I don't know if that's going to be any better the second time around. No, it's not any faster this time. Again, apologize for the surroundings, but this is a old workbench in the basement. Oh, actually that was a little faster this time. So I already have an account. This is just a welcome page. Not sure how well this is all showing up on here. I guess I'll find out later whether I even publish this. There's no speaker on this. That's one of the other complaints people have had. So it does have the ability to provide turn-by-turn directions on routes, but there's no speaker. So there's no way for it to notify you or beep or anything that you have a turn coming up. Strava Live segments are also disabled currently. That's supposedly coming in a software patch. I should probably take the screen protector off so that I can see it and then you can see the screen. Let's see how hard this is to get off. Probably going to be a jump cut here. There it goes, that corner works. First blush, the screen is nice. It's large. The screen itself is probably, you can see the screen is almost as big as the entire Garmin. So that's going to be an advantage, especially for someone with my vision. The date timer obviously rung, so we can set that as I can find my time zone. So this is, if you haven't seen this before, this is basically Android under the hood. Apparently it's disabled in a lot of different ways. They claim that they will eventually have apps and things, but it's pretty restrictive right now. It does have ANT+, does have Bluetooth, GPS obviously, SIM capability, although there's not much the SIM capability can do that you can't do through Wi-Fi, at least initially, as far as downloading maps. I have no idea what time it is. I'm going to look at. So here's a quick comparison to a smartphone. This is a Nexus, so it's a fairly large smartphone, but 9:13 p.m. almost time for bed. So it'd be easier if it just brought up the keyboard. Let's see, date and time next. Wi-Fi network, so I'm probably going to back off from the camera right now and put my Wi-Fi password in. So the keyboard works very well. That was very responsive. Anybody familiar with a cell phone, or particularly an Android phone, is not going to have any problem figuring this out. I expect that there to be a software update, so I guess we'll we'll let this run and we'll jump cut the video again. It says wow, 660 megabytes of software updates. So being in the basement here, this could take a while. It's not really giving it's giving a percentage completion. It's not really giving me an estimated time, which is something you sometimes get and sometimes don't get with Android software updates from either the Play Store or wherever else you're downloading them from. 4%, yeah, this is going to take a while. Alright, I'm not sure how long that will take. Running low on camera time actually here, so I'm going to restart it. Oh, I think I am. There it goes. Oh no, I'm fine on the camera. I got 21 minutes left. You don't want to watch this for that long anyways. So you're hearing the beep. You're not hearing the beep of the Karoo, you're hearing the beep of the Garmin, because I'm actually trying to wake up my power meter to find out how long that's going to... oh great, the Garmin's battery is low. Oh no, the power meter. It says the battery is low. I don't know if anybody else has a stages left crank power meter, but these things chew through batteries way faster than they're supposed to. So it does sound like the power meter woke up. I was trying to use the Stages phone app, and that wasn't actually seeing the power meter, but the Garmin is actually seeing the power meter. And the power meter is showing up there. I was actually trying to zero it because the Karoo does not allow for that currently. There is no calibrate or way to, at least based on reports. I guess we'll find out when this thing actually boots up, but there is no reported way to calibrate a power meter, so you have to use an external app. And it doesn't look like the Garmin ones. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, that's about the usual number I get. So the bike behind me also has a speed sensor, a Garmin speed sensor on the rear hub. I have a Wahoo ticker sort of off camera right now. I also have a separate cadence sensor, but it's on a different bike, so I'm not sure we're going to deal with that tonight. Mostly I'm just interested to see how quickly these things connect, and I do have a trainer downstairs that I've avoided using all winter, but I may throw the Karoo on the bike and on the trainer just to make sure that the power is actually being displayed properly. And the software update is taking forever. So I think I'm going to pause the video just so I don't completely run out of recording ability, and we'll come back to this when it's done. Alright, so we're back. That didn't take as long as it looked like it was going to take, but it probably took another 3 or 4 minutes since I paused the video the last time. Interestingly, while it was updating, I grabbed it off of this lovely bench desk you're seeing here and tried to mount it to my existing bike. I have I believe it's a branded Garmin mount on my road bike that's been in the basement most of the winter, and I tried to mount the Karoo, and even though these look the same, looking at them briefly visually, this would not go into the Garmin mount. I don't know why. I didn't really want to force it. It's possible I'm putting it in wrong, but I can't imagine that. I mean, it looks like a standard quarter turn mount. Actually, what I should try is mounting the Garmin in this barfly, because I thought these were universal mounts. Yeah, so the Garmin goes into the barfly and snaps in just fine and feels secure. And the Hammerhead also goes into the barfly just fine, but it didn't seem to want to go into the Garmin mount. So I may pause here briefly again because I've got to. I've already set up my account. The Karoo has a portal, a web portal, allowing you to download, or not download, but create routes, and create routes either manually or by linking to a Strava ride, ride with GPS. There's a few other options that I wasn't all that familiar with, but so I've actually set up my account online already and have actually added 2 rides, a local short club ride, and I'm actually signed up for recently for the Tour of the Batten Kill, and I grabbed the 40-mile route for that and threw it up on the Karoo web portal just to see. Basically, I wanted to see when I sign in, will those routes be there right away. So we're going to skip ahead briefly, and I'm going to get myself signed in. It basically asked the same things. It presented the home page, connected to the Wi-Fi. It remembered the Wi-Fi. I'm hoping it's done with all its software updates right now, but we'll check back in a couple minutes. Okay, folks, we're back again. I use LastPass for passwords, so my password was complicated and ridiculous. But this is the next screen, and it's asking me for, obviously, the unit system. I realize this is upside down. I apologize. But I figured it was better than nothing. And there aren't a lot of these videos up yet, so. Okay, rider profile. I guess you can know when my birthday is. I realized there was going to be all this information. Whoops. Wow, that totally just jumped. Something very weird just happened there. When I scrolled up, I had already set the month and the day. When I scrolled up and kind of almost went past 2018, it reset both the month and the day to, pretty sure it did that on its own. Reset the month and the day to the current month and day instead of the day, month and day that I had just spent time selecting. I guess this is not a big deal. It's probably not even something that they would have seen in testing, because once you put this information once, you're probably not going to have to do it again. I have no idea where I am for weight right now, but that's about where it is. The keyboard's huge, obviously, with this much screen real estate. It's real easy to, I have no idea what this means. It's asking me lifetime athlete. I have no idea what that means. So we're going to go past that. It's checking date and time again, which I'm not really sure I understand. Apologize if my voice is a little quavery here. Not only am I slightly nervous, as I've never done this before, it's freezing in my basement right now. So this is one of the advantages of this device over at least my Garmin. And this is one of their main selling features, which is maps basically in general, routing, and then this is the, from what I've read, the offline maps. So you can select a general area around you, certain radius from your normal home area, and it will download all those maps to the device to make routing and I assume turn-by-turn directions available. I'm not sure if this is going to work in the basement, whether it's even going to be able to see any GPSs. It does, which is a little bit surprising. It knows approximately where I am. And it just lost its place. Not sure if I've gone too far. Alright, we're going to skip this for now. I think it's maybe freaking out because the fact that it's not able to actually see GPSs. There's no indication, and this is one of the things that a couple of reviewers have already mentioned. There's no indication up in the upper, like the notification bar, that you actually have a GPS signal. And I guess it's one of the problems when you go to record a ride. You don't really get any indication like a Garmin would that tells you that you've got a GPS fix and that it's kind of safe to start your ride. So this is just some information about the buttons. I did show the kind of the depth or I guess the width and the height. It did not show the depth. It's going to be a little harder to see here because I really don't have the ability to tip the camera sideways and sort of show you a side on. Maybe I'll take a picture and sort of splice that in here later. But it's really not that much deeper than a Garmin, at least on the lower end. On the top end, the kind of the leading edge, into the wind once it's on a bike, it's a little bit thicker and taller. It has sort of like a 1 or 2 degree slope, I guess, when you lay it down and compare it. So it's not that much thicker than a Garmin, but it's you definitely feel it in your hand, and obviously you see it, side by side with a 510. This is trying to explain the side buttons. So there's 3 buttons. On the top button here is the power. Then there's 2 buttons for scrolling. They do have a nice kind of tactile feel to them. And then there's 2 other buttons here. I believe one of these is the pause and lap when you're actually riding, and the other allows you to scroll through the data fields. So I'm agreeing to the license, and I guess we're all set. Right, so this is the main page. I'll flip it over briefly so you can actually see it and read it. So there's activities, routes, pages. This is where you set up data fields. Sensors, which I'm going to do next just for kicks. Settings, and then videos, which I guess is just some sort of instructional videos right now. There's apparently not much to them. I haven't been in there yet. So I think I'm going to poke around in here with the sensors, pause the video for a second, and I'll get back about how easy sensor setup was, because the bike is behind me and the Wahoo ticker is actually not on, so I'm going to have to kind of wake that up, and that's going to be tough to do with 2 hands while trying to still film from a tripod. So we'll get back. Alright, so this is immediately interesting, and I guess I didn't realize that the ticker did both of these things, but based on what I've seen so far and have been told, the ticker is showing up here twice, once as a Bluetooth device and once as an ANT device. There's been some speculation, at least on the Karoo forums, that if all your sensors and devices, I guess, are of one type, you kind of want to turn the other one off. It seems like there's some the Karoo itself is having some confusion when it sees the same device on 2 channels. So it is interesting that as a Bluetooth device it shows up as a ticker with basically a 4-digit number, and under the ANT Plus connection it just shows as a device. I think you can actually rename these, so I think I'm gonna add it as an ANT Plus device, and yeah, so this is where you're able to actually update what it is. I'm not even sure I'm spelling ticker right. does say status. It says status searching. I'm not sure why that is. It was just connected. It's possible I have to wake up the Wahoo. There it goes. These don't. If you wear one of these, they don't like the cold very much. They're not much fun to put on when they're cold. But they actually don't like the cold very much, and they need like a little bit of moisture on the sensors to wake up. All right, I'm gonna pause again. Oh, it does look like I'm running out of battery on the camera. Okay, so this is interesting. It's not something I'm familiar with, so I guess I'm gonna have to do a little research and maybe finish this up tomorrow. But so both the ticker and the stages are showing up. I'm not sure how well this is showing up on the camera, but both the ticker and the stages are showing up as both Bluetooth and ANT Plus devices. And I also have a Garmin speed sensor on the bike behind me. Or I think I mentioned that earlier, a hub-based speed sensor, and that shows up as an ANT Plus device as well. So I think probably if everything is showing up on ANT Plus, I'm probably going to use that and turn Bluetooth off, because I don't want these. There doesn't seem to be any reason to have them broadcasting or having the computer. The weird thing is that the stage's left-hand crank shows, for some reason down here in the type, it shows power, speed, distance, and cadence, which I don't understand. I know it does power and cadence. There's no way for it to do speed and distance. It's almost like either the Karoo is becoming confused by the Garmin speed sensor and the power meter. I'm not really sure. I'm probably going to have to throw this on the trainer and turn off and on either Bluetooth and or ANT Plus and figure out what's actually receiving and or how these are actually broadcasting. I'm going to quickly hit the routes here because I did upload. Yep. So there's the routes that I uploaded, and you can see one of them shows a Strava symbol, and the other one, well, it doesn't actually have a symbol, or does it? It says third. That little round icon says third. I'm guessing that means third party. But that was actually from Ride with GPS. The Tour of the Battenkill had posted their rides. The link you clicked on took you a ride to GPS. You took the URL from there, threw it into the Karoo web portal basically, and that is what the result is. So those, I didn't actually check to see how fast those were synced, but I assume those synced almost immediately with my account. There's not going to be anything under activities because I haven't used the device yet. Pages is where you set up the various things you want to display: speed, power, cadence, heart rate, any of those metrics, average speed. Some of them are available now, some of them are not. I guess I'm going to find out which ones that I use regularly would be on here and which ones aren't. Only one of my bikes has a power meter, so my Garmin is typically set up differently for the road bike versus a cyclocross bike, just because of the sensors that are available. All I have on the cyclocross bike is a cadence sensor, and I've only done that because I basically took it off the road bike when I got the power meter, because that has cadence built in, so there's no reason to have two of them, and it might as well go on a bike somewhere. So I guess I'm going to play around with this a little bit more. The battery on the camera is unfortunately running out, which I didn't realize when I started this tonight. So maybe I'll take some pictures and I'll throw this on the trainer tomorrow, or I'll actually take it outside and try to use it, and I'll try to smush this all into a single video with some additional information on what I found out during the rest of the setup here, and also maybe how the thing actually operates in the real world. Probably it sounds like I'm gonna have to swap out the mount on my bike for this Barfly, because I've tried it again and I actually cannot get the Karoo into a standard Garmin out front mount. So that seems weird, but and I don't want to force it. I don't want to break my mount, and I don't want to break this. This is the tether. I did take the Allen keys out of the packaging briefly because I was curious as to why there were two, and there are two because there are two different sizes. I have no idea what these are, whether it's a 1 and a 2 mil or some sort of interim sizes. They don't really say on them, but the one is definitely the one, I guess, closest to the bottom of the screen for you guys is smaller than the other one. And I know that one of these is for this mount on the back. This has to come off in order for, and it's the smaller one. This has to come off in order for you to mount the tether. So we'll charge up the camera battery and see what else we can figure out tonight, and hopefully I'll splice this all up into something that actually makes sense to anybody. Thanks. Alright, good morning folks. I'm not sure how I'm going to stitch all these different videos together, but so we're next morning. I played with the device a little bit last night, kind of setting up a couple of pages, or rearranging, I guess, some of the items on the pages. Again, an interesting note, this device, at least in my experience, this will not work with Garmin mounts of any kind. I had a bar style mount like this Barfly, an out front. I think Garmin calls it the out front. There's just something slightly different about the quarter turn mount on the back, and it won't go in. I also had a stem mount on my cyclocross bike to keep the Garmin kind of, I guess, a little more protected. So that just attached with some of those rubber bands that they give you. So it's just kind of a, I don't know, it's called a stem mount. Also would not go into that. So I do have another Barfly. It's not as long as this, and I think based on the size of the device, it does go into the mount, but it won't. I'm not sure it's far enough out in front of the bike to actually allow for the quarter turn to happen. I'll have to try it. So Saturday morning, I think I'm overdressed. It's about 45 degrees. It feels warmer. The sun's out for at least a little while today, so I'm going to give it a go. So you hit that button. I did not do a route. I have the thing for 45 days, so I think I'm just going to try a ride and see what happens. I reset the power meter. It does look like it's reading heart rate. I put average speed on here, which I usually don't show, but there's enough. There's enough on here. There's enough screen real estate, I guess. I have it in dark mode. It's very readable. It's set to auto brightness. I don't know why it keeps asking this. I think maybe I'll switch the dark theme to the light theme and see how that looks. Not sure how well that's showing up. I'm in sort of a shady section. This is driving me crazy. So I guess we're just going to ride for a while and see how this does. So average speed, distance, time of day, ride time, cadence I'm hoping gets picked up by the power meter. The power is showing is not available, or I guess it's not available because I haven't started pedaling yet. So I'm hoping that picks up as soon as I get going. Hi folks, apologies for the road noise you may get. Just kind of stopped here on the side of the road mid-ride, about 40 minutes in. Nice little spot to stop. Anyways, so before I forget hopefully you can see this. I'm not sure how well this is showing up. I'm having a hard time seeing my phone screen. And here comes a car. So the first thing I would suggest, and I'm not start off negative, but this isn't really a negative review, I guess, or initial impressions. Most of it's pretty good. This screen right here, this is super aggressive. This needs to be changed, fixed, made into an option. But basically every time you stop, even briefly at a stop sign, like just even foot down stop, this screen comes up.
So I don't know if they need to kind of increase the length that you're paused before this comes up, but it needs to be adjusted, I think, or made into an option. And this otherwise quiet street is super busy today. See, yeah, you can see what I mean. I'm trying to like stop long enough to point out some of the things that are going on the screen. So obviously the speed is 0, the thing is 0. My heart rate is going down. Average power, cadence, which I'm not sure why it's reading 50 because I'm stopped. Maybe that's the minimum that they display. The average speed is screwed up. This is obviously wrong. You can see the distance that I've gone and the time I've gone, and there's no way I'm averaging 21 miles an hour with my fitness level currently in February. And then the time of day is there and the ride time. So you can do that math yourself. There's no way I'm doing 21 miles an hour. And actually that number seems to keep going up. And I'm not sure if it's reading off the speed sensor or it's reading the GPS. I guess that's something to test myself and figure out what's going on. But you can see how annoying this pause screen is. They should just kind of, I don't know what can be done about that. The next screen is a lap screen. Apparently they just added some of these, the lap time, lap distance, lap power, normalized power, and then power zone is, obviously I'm not putting out any, sitting here on the side of the road. And then the map is fine. I'm actually looping backtracking on myself right now, so that gray line is the route that I've already gone. The only suggestion I have for this, it'd be nice to know what street you're on. Car GPSs and other GPSs do this even if you're not routing. Maybe down in the bottom, just give an idea of what street you're on. That way, if you're not familiar with the area and you're also not routing, or God forbid you have a problem and you still can at least see the screen, or you're talking to someone and you don't necessarily know where you are, it'd be nice if this displayed the current street even without routing. And this pause screen is nuts. This is my one biggest complaint right now, is how aggressive this pause screen is, because you can't really do anything without it pausing or that pop-up coming up and taking up half the screen. So this is another complaint that people are having, where once you reach the end, you can't scroll, you can't loop scroll, you have to scroll back, and then I can't get to the map by going this way, I can only get to the map by going this way. I didn't have any other reported problems with my pair of gloves. I know some people on the forums have noted that their gloves don't work with the screen. Obviously, I'm gloveless right now because I overdressed, so I started with gloves and I was able to scroll. They're just a pair of kind of mid-weight craft sportswear gloves. I don't know what model they are, and I don't know if they have, I'm trying to take them out of my back pocket now. It does look like they maybe have little touch pads of some sort on them. Can't remember if I was using the finger there or if I was using the side of my hand, or side of my finger. But I wasn't having any problem scrolling with the gloves on. Maybe it's a material issue, or not sure. So those are just some rather long-winded, 4-minute long initial or in-ride impressions. If I think of anything else, I'll stop, and I may not even have the guts to compile this into anything and upload it. Alright folks, excuse the heavy breathing. I'm just at the end of the ride, so I'm going to briefly show what happens now. Of course, this pause thing has popped up already, so you can see again the average speed is not correct. I did 36 miles, it says on the dot, in 2 hours and 13 minutes. The only thing I can think of is that, well, I don't even think it's that. It could be moving average, but I really doubt that I'd average 20 even while moving. I did stop a bunch of times, had to take a picture for someone. So I still don't think this is right, but I'm going to hit the save button so this pop-up will go away. I should be in Wi-Fi range, so we'll see what happens, and I'll see if I can do this one-handed with the cell phone camera. That's asking if you want to save the ride. I do. Saved it. It's giving a little bit of summary of the ride. Not sure if it is scrollable. So power and max power, heart rate, max heart rate, cadence. I think I can actually update this information now, but I'm gonna try to hold the camera. I also recorded this with a Garmin Forerunner 235 on my wrist, just to see. I apologize for the shaking. Just to see if the numbers were basically the same. Apologies for the shaking. Let's see if I can show the Garmin. Okay, so just for a quick comparison, not sure if this is visible or how visible this is, but the Garmin is saying 35.73 miles, 2 hours and 10 minutes. I guess that's all the summary I'm going to get right now. So that seems pretty close, although I don't know, it's a quarter-mile distance over 32 hours, so the Garmin actually just completed its transfer to the phone. So maybe I'll throw these into Strava or something else and see maybe where they're off and where they're close. But that 6.4 miles per hour average probably sounds a little more reasonable, and I can't remember if Garmin reports the whole average. I think it reports the total average speed there based on distance and time, and not the actual moving average. Like I said, I did pause a couple of times, once to record and once to take a couple of pictures, which then I ended up taking pictures for some tourists at the same time. So we'll it's supposed to rain all day tomorrow, so hopefully if this isn't horrible to watch, I'll stitch it all together and throw it up on YouTube. Thanks.